This video is going to kick off a series that I'm doing of comparing a gravel bike and a hardtail mountain bike for gravel riding. Now, I personally own a T9R T9R Do as my gravel bike, and Niner have reached out to me and loaned me an T9R Do hardtail for this comparison. A quick close-up look at the bikes I'll be using in this comparison. This is the 3-star build of the T9R Do. This is a full-on gravel bike, so the 3-star build has SRAM Rival, hydraulic brakes, and it does have 2 front chain rings, full carbon frame, carbon fork, Stan's Grail wheels, Schwalbe G1 38C tires. The T9R Do loaner bike that I have is also a 3-star build. This has SRAM Eagle. This is the SRAM GX Eagle. It's got Stan's Arch wheels, Maxxis Icon tires. This has a single front chain ring, and it has a Fox step cast fork. Let's start off by talking why you would want to use a hardtail on gravel roads as opposed to a dedicated gravel bike. First off, the simple reason: your budget doesn't allow you to own 2 bikes, so you want to have one that can do mountain biking and gravel. The second reason is you just want a bike that's more versatile. You want one that can handle pavement, dirt roads, really rough dirt roads, gravel roads, and single track. A hardtail does a really good job of covering a variety of surfaces and riding conditions. The third reason would be that you're training for cross-country mountain bike racing or endurance mountain bike racing, and you want to be on the hardtail to have the same riding position and hand position that you would use in those races. Now let's talk about some of the disadvantages of riding a hardtail on gravel roads, and I'm speaking out of experience of doing this many years ago and now using this Niner test bike. The first would be the fact that you have only a limited number of hand positions. So you would either have your hands just in that standard hand position on the grips, or you may be able to move them inward a little bit as you ride, and maybe even have some bar ends or just rest your hands a little bit more on the side of the grip. Other than that, there's no other hand positions that you can use when riding a hardtail mountain bike on gravel roads. The other disadvantage, which is more of a major disadvantage, is the fact that the hardtail mountain bike is probably going to be slower, especially on pavement. Now, after this video, I'm about to make a follow-up one that I'm going to go do some time trial tests between the gravel bike and the hardtail, but I'll get into that in the next video, so you'll want to watch that. So the reason that a hardtail mountain bike is going to be slower is, one, the wheels are heavier. So you've got heavier tires, heavier rims, and the wheels are wider, the tires are wider I should say, which is going to have more rolling resistance, and the fact that you also have some tread. Now obviously you can overcome the rolling resistance and the tire weight a little bit by getting a narrower tire for your hardtail mountain bike. Another reason why a hardtail is probably going to be slower, especially on faster pavement, is just the fact that you cannot get as aero. So you're a little bit more upright as you're riding, and you can't get that low hand position that you could get on the drops of a gravel bike. Perhaps the biggest disadvantage of a hardtail mountain bike for gravel is your limited gear range. Most mountain bikes today have a single front chain ring, so you're going to be limited on your top end. You'll probably spin out around 24 to 26 miles an hour on a hardtail mountain bike, whereas a gravel bike with 2 front chain rings, you could probably go up to about 35 to 40 miles an hour before you start to spin out. Now the lower end gear range on the mountain bike will be fine. You've got a ton of low end gear range. It's just the high end range that you're going to be limited. And then finally, there's a little bit of a psychological disadvantage knowing that you're on a little bit heavier, a little bit slower bike. Now let's talk about some of the advantages of using a hardtail for gravel riding. First is the fact that the bike is probably going to be smoother and more stable over really rough roads, especially when you hit sand and potholes, for the simple fact that you have bigger tires, more air volume, more cushion, and you have a suspension fork on the bike. Now, oddly enough, on standard gravel roads that aren't too rough, I don't notice too much of a comfort difference between the hardtail and the gravel bike. Now, when I get out and do my time trials, I'm really going to focus on that, and during that video, I'll talk about comfort, but over just the small chatter, I feel like the bikes are pretty similar in terms of bump absorption and comfort. Another advantage that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is just the fact that it's a really versatile bike. It's so fun to put in rides where you do a mix of gravel, pavement, single track, just to be able to put together one of those multi-surface rides is easier to do on a mountain bike. And when it comes time to hit the single track, you can hit it a lot harder, a lot more aggressive than you could on a gravel bike. And the final advantage that I'll mention that I also kind of hinted to at the beginning of the video is for training. So maybe you're a really fast cross-country racer, you want to get out and do group gravel rides, but your fitness is a little bit better than the group, and so you can get a better workout with a little bit more rolling resistance. And like I said, you're in the same riding position that you would be using for your cross-country racing. So that'll wrap up this kickoff video talking about using a hardtail for gravel riding. Now, I'm getting ready to head out on a ride where I'll do some time trial. That'll be a separate video, and you'll want to watch that video if you're interested in the speed comparison and also the comfort comparison of these two bikes. Questions or comments so far, drop those below. If you use a hardtail for gravel riding, let us know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.